Ross Hillman here with an encouraging word for you today from my devotional TGIF, Today God is First. Today's message is entitled Worldly Planning. 2 Corinthians 1:17 says, "Or do I make my plans in a worldly manner, so that in the same breath I say, yes, yes, and no, no?" The Apostle Paul was discussing his plans to come to the church at Corinth. He was acknowledging the serious nature of his trip and informing the Corinthians that he did not flippantly come to this decision to visit them. It was a matter that had been given serious prayer, not one made in the spur of the moment. Planning from God's view is a process. It isn't merely an exercise in reason and analysis. It requires entering into the mind of Christ together with our minds to determine which course to take. In the Old Testament, the priests wore breastplates with the Urim and Thummim in a pouch on their breast. It was like a roll of dice that the priests were required to perform to know which direction they would take on a matter. It was the ultimate release of all decisions into God's hand. God did not want the priests to rely on their own intellects for final decisions. We have an uncanny ability to make decisions based on our own needs and wants. However, God desires that we seek Him to know His plans for us. David was a skilled warrior who never lost a battle. He consulted God on every decision. He knew the results of the battle rested in God's hand. So, if he was to gain victory, he had to know God's mind on the matter. Sometimes this requires more time given to the process in order to hear His voice. Sometimes it may even require fasting and prayer. And sometimes it may require input from other godly friends. Are you a man or woman who makes decisions based on God's purposes for your life? Do you take every matter and every major decision and put it before the throne to determine God's mind on the matter? If so, you will avoid making decisions in a worldly manner. You know, I used to just add up all the pros and the cons and decide, well, that's the way to go. But really, that's not God's way of making a decision. It comes through pondering what the Holy Spirit is speaking into our heart, taking the facts into consideration, but ultimately getting a confirmation in our spirit to make the right decision, and looking for confirmation where we have the opportunity. So I pray that God gives you that ability. Father, give us your insight into making a godly decision in all that we do. You know, I wrote a book several years ago called Making Godly Decisions, How to Hear and Know the Will of God. Perhaps that might be helpful to you. You can find it on our bookstore at tgifbookstore.com. That's called Making Godly Decisions. Have a great day.